Hey everybody, it's Norm from Tested. I'm here at Maker Faire 2017, here under the big robotics tent where I met Jack Turner. Jack, you and your father restore animatronic robots, is that right?
Yes, so these are two animatronic robots that were originally in the 1980s at Showbiz Pizza. Very similar to Chuck E. Cheese. Chuck E. Cheese actually bought Showbiz Pizza out and they rebranded. And so these animatronics, they were at an amusement park in Kentucky for quite a long time. The owner, he was interested in selling these, and I decided, you know, as an educational project, definitely this would be just great to learn a ton about electronics. So I originally got this, which is Mitzi Mozzarella from the Rockfire Explosion. I got her first, and it probably took me about a year and a half to restore her. I learned all about mechanics. And how she works is there is an air system. She runs on air. So this is a solenoid valve bank down here, this blue block. And each one of those solenoids controls one movement on the animatronic character. The air is supplied from an air compressor over there, and the signals are sent from a controller that I've built. I have two tracks on a program. I have one track of music and I have one track of data. I go in and I program each movement. I do the mouth, I do the eyes, all, you know, the arms, and I synchronize it with the music. And then I'm able to play it back with this Arduino-based controller, and it decodes this MIDI code, and it causes the robot to move, and I have speakers for the music, and that's how it's set up.
So back in the 80s when this robot was being used at the pizza place, how was it controlled? Because they didn't have Arduino back then. How is it actually animated, and how is that different than how you're animating it now?
So how they had it animated originally was they actually took the boards out of player pianos, pianos that can play back, and they used MOSFETs, which are kind of big transistors, to control each solenoid. I use relays instead, but it's basically the same system except, you know, different microcontroller and different sound system, but it's more or less the same.
How much degree of control do you get? Is it on and off, and a refresh time?
Yeah, so it's basically just on and off. Whenever air goes into one side of the cylinder, it extends, and then the other side it retracts. So there are valves on the market that will allow you to precisely move the valve, just, you know, 25% or whichever percent you want it to. And I'm trying to keep it as original as possible. So I'm just using, you know, standard on and off solenoid valves.
Very cool. Now, what was the condition of the robot when you first got it? How much actual restoration? You have a lot of custom electronics now, but you have to redo all the tubing. Any machining for this?
So luckily it wasn't in too bad of a state, but it was not running at all. There were a lot of cylinders that were stuck, you know, from just decay, and there were hoses that were leaking, so I couldn't run her because, you know, I was trying to pinpoint problems, and all of a sudden, you know, I hear this huge air leak, and that's where the problem is. So yeah, I did have to retube a lot. I had to buy this Mac valve bank because originally the animatronic didn't have that, and I wired it using the original wiring, and I based my controller off of the original wiring too, using, you know, relays which are very similar to MOSFETs that they used back in the old days. And yeah, luckily I didn't have to replace anything big like cylinders or metal pieces, but there was a lot of work that went into creating the controller, soldering, learning how to solder, and, you know, learning how to use microcontrollers.
Now the aesthetics, the looks of this, it actually looks pretty striking. I think, you know, people who are fans of Five Nights at Freddy's love this look. Is your plan to keep it like this, or do you want to restore it to its original, more closer to how it originally looked?
My plan is to actually create my own character. So I'm trying to find an artist who might be able to create a mask for this, or a new costume. So yeah, I'd like to create my own or my own character. I'm probably going to keep Billy Bob, the bear from Showbiz Pizza, both of them from Showbiz Pizza, but he's Billy Bob right now. I'd like to keep him original, but I'd like to create my own thing with her.
Well, we do know some character artists and effects artists that we work with that might be able to help with that. Jack, it's very good to meet you. Thank you so much for sharing with me your animatronics project, and it looks amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks.